young team who got into the come out of Southern League, got promoted in the first season, I think. We're in the all third division, but we're struggling. Nailed on to get relegated. Signed me, and the press billed me as the player that would save the club from relegation. And you know the press never lie. Come the end of the season, we were relegated. Yeah, so started off not well. I think we were towards the bottom of the fourth division, and speculation about the manager, but the directors got together, gave him a vote of confidence, and then sacked him 2 weeks later.
Oh.
In walks Ron Atkinson, who came from Kettering Town. And he was nothing like a manager, nothing like Bertie me. Wanted to be involved in the card school, knew all the parties we were going to when we were not supposed to go, knew everything. But a huge ambition. And a few of us realized that this guy was going places, and if we just hung on to his coattails, some of us might have a career. I was very much aware of it, the chanting, but the difference was at Cambridge, you could actually see it, you could make them out, and I reacted quite badly. I think it was against Bradford, and the assistant manager was John Doherty at Cambridge, and I had an incident. There was actually a National Front rally in Bradford. We were playing Bradford away. There's a National Front rally up there, and the ball gone out for a throw-in, out to us. I was going to get it, and this bloke, I could see them all chanting at me, and this one bloke sort of hurled the ball at me, called me all the names under the sun. I caught the ball, and I think for a split second I was going to throw it back at him because he was coming down the terrace, and all I felt was a hand on my shoulder. My nickname was Batman, and I heard John Dockett, his Scottish brogue, Batman, get on with the game, but you became very much aware of the faces within that small crowd.
So I saw that you captained Cambridge, so happy days there, and you captained the fourth division championship in '77. Yeah,
it was a fantastic time at Cambridge. I mean, I had my run-ins with Ron, but I say to my kids and my grandkids, remember one motto. If you're going to remember one motto in life, is that a good big un always beats a good little un. Ron had weight advantage in buckets. So even though I wasn't getting on with him at times in the early days, and I thought one punch should do it, but after that I think he'll kill me. So I decided that maybe talking away out stuff was better. So, but he was really good, not just for me, but he actually he wheeled and dealed. Got a lot of young lads who were very ambitious, wanted to do well, and there was a nice combination of we had a bit of experience, but a lot of young lads. We had a lad, we've only just been in touch, Alan Biley for Cambridge, who scored 30 goals a season. I think he went to Everton and then had a spell at Derby. He didn't quite do it, but fantastic player. I could name them all, Steve Spriggs, and here's one for you, the ex-Arsenal goalkeeper, Malcolm Webster. I got into the club. Malcolm I think he was shifting furniture down in Southend, Wickford, and Ron was looking for a goalkeeper. So I told Ron, I don't know how I heard about it. I think the fella who owned the furniture shop told me about Malcolm there. Wasn't fit, hadn't trained. I said to Ron, this lad's a good goalkeeper for this level. He'll smash it. Got him up. First pre-season game, Bristol City at the Abbey. Soft header. Went through hands, went through legs, into the back of the net. Ron calls me to one side and he says, do you know anything about goalkeeping? Malcolm Webster became one of the best goalkeepers ever at Cambridge United. Fantastic. We won the fourth division championship because a lot of it was down to him. He was absolutely fantastic, as well as the other lads. So I had a great time, loved every minute of it, and I love Cambridge as a place.
So what position were you playing at the time when the questions just come in? Were you centre back, converted to right back, or the other way around?
Yeah, I could play anywhere along the back four. I was playing in midfield as well, but Ron came in, had a look. But one of his most important signings was Dave Stringer from Norwich, who formed a fantastic partnership with Duncan Forbes. And Dave Stringer came in as centre back, and Ron moved me out to right back. Ron always wanted to play. He did it at West Brom, play out from the back through the full backs. So he moved me out to right full back, and Dave Stringer was a fantastic professional. But we liked him as a guy because he had a small holding back in Norwich, and he used to come through with a lot of eggs, farm fresh eggs. It was fantastic. He only came through a couple of times a week. Said, Dave, don't forget the eggs. It used to take him twice as long because he had to drive very slowly with the eggs for the lads. But what a fantastic professional. And I think even though I was skipper, if I tried to be too clever, I could just feel his eyes on the back of my head, and I knew he preferred to kick it into row Z and start again, whereas a few of us were trying to play. But you just knew when it came to defending, you had to do it right because Dave was going to be on your case. So he moved me out to right full back, and I stayed there ever since.
We're going to move on in a minute to West Brom, and Ron Atkinson took you there. But obviously, talking about Ron Atkinson, there's one thing that we got to kind of touch on. And when he was broadcasting, he famously used the N-word. What was your reaction to that, Brendon? Did you speak to him afterwards, or decide not to talk to him, or what?
No, I spoke to him. I was mortified. I had just come back from Grenada. I was watching that game. We had a stopover in Barbados. I was watching the first half of that match on the TV in Barbados. Landed. My friend kept my car. Used to work for at the airports. Kept my car. Asked him the results. And then by the time I got back to the Midlands, I got a call from the press. I had a lot of press on saying, any comments on that? I said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I had to go through to ITV. The press guy rang me back, told me about it. Tried to speak to Ron, couldn't get him. But to be fair, he rang me back later. But by then, I'd already made a statement to the press. And I was mortified. I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. And in a way, it's a shame, really, because his legacy, really, in support of all the things as a manager, will be remembered for that one moment. But it's of his own making. We fell out, but we made up. Cyril and myself made an effort. Well, we were asked me. But in the end, I'm not one to hold grudges. We had a chat about it, and we're okay. But it'll never leave me the thought that if anybody had said to me, you would make that comment like that, I'd have said, no way. Well, in actual fact, we were playing, Ron had gone, we were playing Tranmere away. And I'm skipper, I'm in the dressing room, lads were a bit subdued. And Tranmere, at the time, the dressing rooms were quite small, so we're trying to do stretches. I was in the showers, really subdued, the dressing room. And then I heard a bit of excitement in the dressing room just before kickoff. And I thought, I bet Ron's come in. Went out, Ron's walked in the dressing room, give a little pep talk. And I knew we weren't going to lose that day. Alan Biley scored his regulatory goal. We won 1-0. And I think we went top. I think there was a bit of a few games were fell because of the weather. But when Ron left the dressing room, he shouted out, say goodbye to the lads, Batman, you've played your last game. And I thought he was taking the proverbial. And as it happens, because I think some of the games were cancelled, and it just transpired. He came in for me, and I think that was the last game I played for Cambridge, was Tranmere away. And they had agreed a deal. The previous coach I was telling you about, Ray Freeman, having left the club, went into the wine business. Very nice wines, I must tell you. We're having a wine tasting at my house in Bar Hill, just outside of Cambridge. And the phone goes, it's John Doherty saying that just agreed a deal with Ron. I've had a few glasses of wine. I thought, he's winding me up. He said, no, he's going to ring you in about 10 minutes. He rang. He said, get yourself up here tomorrow. And that was it, really. They'd agreed a fee. I think it was 30,000. And I went up, and the deal was done. I think it was a Thursday, and the deal was done by the Friday. Yeah.
So were Cyril Regis and Laurie Cunningham already at West Brom then?
Yeah, Laurie was the first one to join. I think he joined under Johnny Giles. And Ronnie Allen signed Cyril from Hayes. The lad who Cambridge United was playing for Hayes called Bobby Ross for a time. Vic Akers was also at Cambridge United.
Oh, wow.
The most successful last year ever with Arsenal ladies. And Chopper Harris's brother, Alan Harris, and we were the four travellers. And it's Ronnie Allen who signed Cyril. I'd seen Cyril on the television, and I thought this fellow should be a boxer, not a footballer. He looked huge, and bless him. Yes, when I went up there, I made up the trio, but a really good team. I joined a good team. I was very lucky. I say at times, you've got to be fortunate, and it's all about timing. I think I was very fortunate when I joined a really good side.
Do you remember the proper 3 degrees coming to see the West Bromwich Albion 3 degrees, Brendon?
Yeah. Ron, being a shy, retiring person that he is, couldn't let an opportunity go by. They were I think it was called Talk of the Town in Birmingham, and we knew of them, but we weren't even aware that they were appearing. I think Ron just realised there's a bit of publicity to be had here, get West Brom on the map, and he just threw out the line. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly how it came about, but I think somebody said to him, "Oh, the 3 degrees are appearing in Birmingham." He went, "Oh, forget them. We've got our own 3 degrees here," and it just stuck. Yeah, so I was the only one that was married. So I think there was probably a few too many publicity shots, 1 or 2 too many. But it was all harmless fun at the time, and didn't cause us a problem.
Out of your old clubs, do you look for a result first? Is it Cambridge, West Brom, or even Arsenal?
All 3. Actually, fact, my son's a Gooner. My son lives in Slovenia, and he's a long-suffering Gooner. He said, "Oh, crikey, So I haven't spoken to him since the semi-final win, but he said he'd been long-suffering. But we've had some enjoyable times together, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Arteta. He looks, he might be onto something at the moment. Yeah, it is a better time, but it's nice to see some young lads coming through as well. I've been told there's some good young lads, and we've seen it happening at Man United again, and also at Chelsea. And I think for you as fans, you like to see young lads coming through, and you're one of our own. We've got 1 or 2 at West Brom.
How do you think you'd get on in today's game then, Brendon?
Oh no,
with the players and the speed and everything.
Every player, every generation, the players who played, no matter what level, we could play in this generation as well. You can't. When I first came to him, the first game I got taken to White Hart Lane, Tottenham versus West Ham. First fight of Bobby Moore, but the one that made a real impression on me was Jimmy Greaves. Yeah. I mean, he just looked as though he glided across the ground, and he just seemed to stroke the ball into the back of the net. Bobby Moore was getting dog's abuse from the fans. Start of the season, he was very blonde hair. That was what we were told when we were leaving the Caribbean to come to England. He represented the archetypal English boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. And when they were all giving him abuse, I think somebody was injured, he raised his in his chest to say, "Look at me. What are you on about? I'm absolutely beautiful." Yeah, always left an impression on me. And so it was great times. And I think great players of any generation would be able to play at this level. Yeah, in this generation, I should say. I got really involved, and it was a very exciting time because we were going through the throes of freedom of contract. And we'd gone to court in 1963, George Eastham, ex-Arsenal. That was the first shot at it. And then we went for freedom of contract, whereby even if the clubs offered you at least the most favourable terms that you were on previously, they couldn't offer you any worse terms. If you decided not to sign, you could join another club, and then it's up to the 2 clubs to agree a fee. You just go to a tribunal. Whereas in the old days, you couldn't move unless the club said so. So it was really a form of bondage. So it was a really exciting time for me. I was 20, coming up to 21. And then same thing when I went to West Brom. John Weil was the delegate, skipper, and asked him if I could take over as well. So I went through that whole period of going through freedom of contract in 1978, with all the things that went with it. It was a great time. Derek Dugan was chairman, and he was a great voice for the PFA. Irish, so he couldn't shut him up. But he was brilliant. And we had regional meetings to talk about it. We were going to go on strike. The press were writing off the lower divisions. I was playing in the third division at the time, and I said, look, I'll take my chances. I just want to be able to be free. If I can't get a deal I want at the club I'm at, I want to be free to join another club and then let them argue about the fee afterwards. So it was a great time, and I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of being a delegate. But it's changed now. There's much more interaction between the union, the PFA, and the delegates. We've got delegate liaison officers now. The PFA has now got 60-odd employees, full-time employees. When I became delegate, I think it was Cliff Lloyd as secretary, and that was it. And an education officer, yeah, and that was it basically. No, everybody's got ambition, and everybody wants to be paid what they think they're worth. And you know, the seismic change in the game was obviously the onset of the Premier League. That's when there's always been incremental increases in salary. Those players at the top level deserve every penny they get, because you're only one challenge away from looking for a second career. The ambition of every player is to play in the top flight. And if you manage to get there, then you want to be paid accordingly. And it's only recently that football has really started to feature in the top 10 of top earning sportsmen. You know, I don't think we're in the top 5. I mean, Americans still corner everything in terms of the salaries they get. But they deserve every penny, because the fans and yourselves, you're the ones that go pay the money. But who do you watch? You watch the players. Yeah. TV, I think the Premier League is now shown in over 210 territories. Yeah. It is huge. And it's the most watched league in the world.